later, but as I said, largely dry and fine, and in that sunshine, a warmer day to come. We could see 18 degrees there in Glasgow and 22 degrees there in London, which I think will feel very warm indeed in that sunshine. A quick look ahead to the rest of the bank holiday weekend. Then lots of dry, fine weather to come, plenty of sunshine, particularly across northern areas, but there is still the risk of some showers, particularly across the south. We're still firming up on the details, but in that sunshine, feeling warm.
Join us for a special GB News event.
The celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
From pageantry here at the Palace
to the parties in your street.
We'll bring you 4 days of
unforgettable moments
this bank holiday weekend.
Join us live up and down the country as we share your memories
of Her Majesty's extraordinary reign.
Send us your stories, photographs and videos
at Jubilee at gbnews.uk.
Come and celebrate with us
on GB News, the People's Channel.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers.
Yeah. We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is To The Point on GB News with me, Patrick Christie's, and Mercy Moroki on your TV, radio and online today.
Yes, and it's Wednesday, the 1st of June. Can you believe it? And today is our weekly special where we hand over the reins to you.
Yes, we've been asking you, our lovely viewers, to choose what we should discuss today, and we've delivered, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we're also going to be bringing you all the goings-on as the country prepares for the Jubilee weekend, but the most important part of our show is your views, so email us at gbviews@gbnews.uk, and we'll be reading those throughout the show.
Yes, well, that's all coming up from now until midday, and of course we'll be going to your views as well. But now it's the headlines with Rosie Wright.
A very good morning to you. It's just 1 minute past 10. I'm Rosie Wright, keeping you up to date today on GB News. The Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, has defended Boris Johnson, telling GB News not every breach of law amounts to a breach of the ministerial code. The Prime Minister's facing criticism from his ethics advisor, who's questioned the Prime Minister's willingness to take responsibility for his own conduct over his handling of the Partygate scandal. Well, the ethics advisor, Lord Geit, says Boris Johnson's police fine may have breached the ministerial code. The Prime Minister responded that a fixed penalty notice is not a criminal conviction and that he's corrected the record in Parliament in line with the code. Mr Raab told us the Prime Minister's going nowhere.
It's only Graham Brady, the chair of the 1922 committee, that will know, but I'm confident that the overwhelming majority of MPs that I talk to want to see us focused on the job at hand, the cost of living, the situation in Ukraine, the crime-fighting agenda, the skills agenda, and so I think it's very unlikely we'll see a leadership challenge.
The Transport Secretary Grant Shapps is meeting with airline bosses to find out what's gone wrong as half-term travel disruption continues. British Airways has cancelled at least 124 flights at Heathrow, and EasyJet has cancelled over 30 flights from Gatwick today. Well, BA says passengers were given advance notice. Airlines are blaming delays and cancellations on staff shortages. Well, Grant Shapps says operators have seriously oversold flights and holidays relative to their capacity, despite government warnings. Speaking to GB News, the Shadow Scotland Secretary, Ian Murray, says the industry's been asking for help for a long time.
They knew it was coming, and they've seen what happened at the Easter break, and they have been asking for the government to assist and the government to put policies in place that would help them to recruit staff and to get them through security checks as quickly as possible. So there's blame on all sides here, but we need the government to step up, and whilst it's paralysed by the Transport Secretary spending his time persuading colleagues to support the Prime Minister, we've got a government who's got its eye off the ball when the travel industry and the trade unions and the employees are all saying, please give us a hand and help us out.
Shop prices grew at 2.8% in May. That's the fastest rate in more than a decade. The British Retail Consortium says the situation's likely to get worse before it gets better, with prices continuing to rise. Fresh food prices grew by 4.5% last month, with items like poultry and margarine seeing some of the largest increases due to rising costs of animal feed and global food prices. Former Home Office Minister Norman Baker says the government doesn't have a clear direction for dealing with the crisis.
The fact of the matter is, in economic terms, the ship of state has been swaying all over the place with a hand on the tiller. I mean, are we seeing a low-tax Conservative Party or a high-tax Conservative Party? If we're seeing national insurance rise, then we see money given away. They seem to be changing their views from week to week, and there's no consistency or approach. And I think that's what alarms MPs. They don't know where the government's going. It changes its view from one week to the next.
GPs and health centre staff are facing nearly twice the number of violent incidents they did 5 years ago. The British Medical Journal says analysis of police data reveals a rise in public order offences like threatening behaviour from patients. Stalking and harassment incidents at GP surgeries have increased almost threefold. The Royal College of GPs says the increased levels of abuse are having a significant impact on the mental health of NHS staff. A record 2 million people are estimated to be suffering from long COVID. The Office for National Statistics says of those affected, nearly 3/4 say they're suffering 12 or more weeks after they had suspected coronavirus. Over 370,000 are still suffering 2 years after having the virus. The new figures are based on self-reporting from a representative sample of people. The footballer Kurt Zouma is being sentenced this morning for kicking and slapping his pet cat. The 27-year-old West Ham defender pleaded guilty last week at Thames Magistrates Court to 2 counts of animal cruelty. A video of the incident was shared by his brother, who admitted aiding and abetting the offence. Scotland becomes the first UK nation to ban single-use plastic from today. Legislation comes into force which makes it an offence for food outlets to provide plastic cutlery, plates and stirrers. 700 million single-use items are thrown away every year in Scotland. Businesses who breach the new rules could face a fine of £5,000. This is GB News. I'll bring you more as it happens. Now let's head back to the point.
Good morning. The time is 10:06 and you're with me, Mercy Moroki and Patrick Christie's at GB News on TV, radio and online.
Yes, and it's Wednesday, which means one thing and one thing only. This show is dedicated to your views.
Yes, that's right. All week we've been asking you to tell us what you want us to talk about, and we've got some very interesting discussions lined up for you with some expert guests.
We have indeed. Now, many of you have been getting in touch about how soft we are on crime, especially in light of the news a few days ago, of course, as Mercy monologued on. Baby P's mother is being released from prison after his death for only a few years inside. And also, you've told us stories about how useless the police are in your area. So the CEO of Neighbourhood Watch will be joining us to answer your questions.
Yes, and you've asked us as well to talk about the United Kingdom breaking up. We've, of course, had Brexit, we've had independence, referenda, we've had devolution, of course, but could it actually be a good thing for the 4 nations of the UK to completely govern themselves? Our GB News' very own Neil Oliver will join us to discuss.
And it's half term as well, so kids have a break from school. And lots of you have said that that might be a good thing because you're sick and tired of teachers becoming political and teaching kids as young as 5 about things like white privilege, transgenderism as well. So we'll bring you an exclusive report from our Culture and Social Affairs editor who's been investigating politicised teaching. That's Inaya, by the way.
Yes, and of course, it's Jubilee celebrations in a few days, and they're getting underway tomorrow, in fact, and we'll be getting in that Jubilee spirit.
We will.
And looking ahead to what we can expect over the next few days. Our royal reporter has even found a royal superfan who has turned her home into a shrine for the royal family. Stay tuned for that.
Yes, absolutely. Also, I'd like to say a quick thank you to Annette, who just sent me this card with some lovely words in it and some chocolate. You can send me gifts, people. Please do. So just post them to me and send me stuff, please. I love it. Anyway, that's just obviously a taste of what's coming up. Send me gifts. Anyway, we've got much more of that over the next 2 hours, but of course, I want to hear from you. GBviews at gbnews.uk. We'll be going to those throughout the programme.
Now, last month's elections saw Sinn Féin become the largest party in Stormont, the Northern Irish Assembly. The Scottish National Party have been in power since 2007, and Welsh Labour have been accused of pandering to nationalist voices.
Well, devolution was introduced by Tony Blair's government, yet another Blair success, anyway, to, quote, kill nationalism stone dead. But it hasn't really, has it? Many people, including our viewer Frank, are wondering, what about England in all of this? Where do we stand?
Yes, well, he says he'd like to have a discussion on England leaving the United Kingdom. He thinks this would actually have advantages for England and disadvantages for everyone else. So a bit of a zero-sum game, he thinks there. But who better to talk to about the future of the United Kingdom than the one and only Neil Oliver, GB News' very own Neil Oliver. Good morning, Neil. Always good to see you. We've had devolution, so the 3 other nations of the UK have devolved and they have certain powers, don't they? But our viewers asking, what about England, and are there benefits to actually just all going our separate ways now?
Complicated question. I would say, first of all, I think the devolution settlement in Scotland has been a disaster for Scotland. Things have only got worse. Scotland today, after these years of a devolved administration in Edinburgh, is a much poorer, much more divided, less well represented and looked after population than it was in the past. That said, in principle, I can absolutely understand why English people might say that they want an English Parliament as well. A devolved administration as well as the Westminster Parliament. After all, if there's one in Belfast, Cardiff and in Edinburgh, I don't see why there shouldn't be a place where matters close to English hearts are discussed. I can see why that would be a desired. But again, I would say that devolution for Scotland has been disastrous. And I would undo the devolved Parliament in Scotland if it was in my powers to do so.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, do you think that if England had a vote, we would vote to leave Scotland?
I would hope not. And yes, I don't think so. I think feelings run high, and I can absolutely understand. From up here in the north, I know that there's a great deal of frustration felt by a majority of Scottish people at the chippy, dissatisfied noise that the SNP makes all the time, such that the rest of Britain is led to believe that most Scots want to leave the United Kingdom. And it's not the case. It never has been the case, and I don't think it ever will be the case. The SNP, however, have been very effective at dominating access to the airways and to the microphone, and they create an illusion, an optical illusion that most Scots want to leave, and it's not the case. But from the other side of the borders, I can understand why that would begin to become a really grating noise in many people's ears. But I would hasten to add, it's not the majority feeling. The majority of Scots always have, and I think always will, want to be part of the bigger picture, which is Great Britain. I suspect in their hearts of hearts, and this is only, you're asking me my opinion, I can only speak for myself. You know, my experience of England and of Britain is that most Britons want to maintain the union that we've had for 300 and odd years. has been the best thing that's ever happened to any of those individual national personalities. When the European Union was set up, well, when the common market first of all, and then as it evolved, it was absolutely the case that those building that union for the European continent were trying to mimic the success of the union here. But it's demonstrably the case that they didn't succeed. The union here, the United Kingdom, is a unique union and has been uniquely beneficial to most people living here. And I can only say that I hope, and I definitely do think, hand on heart, that the union will prevail.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Let's talk about national identity. Do you think English national identity is treated a bit differently from other national identities in the United Kingdom? Because, you know, people can say they're proud to be Scottish and they're proud to be Welsh, and nobody really bats an eyelid. But when somebody sort of talks patriotically about being an Englishman, it is seen as somewhat dodgy, perhaps somewhat tinted with racism.
You're right. That is quite often how that declaration is perceived, but I think it's wrong. And English people, of course, should, and I wish they did, celebrate Englishness as an identity. My experience as a Scot working in England, which I have done, I mean, it's just part of my being in England and being with English people. I've always and only been warmly received in England. I love England. I love the variety of it in the same way that I love the variety, you know, all the different textures of England. You know, the way that Cornwall is different from Kent, is different from Cumbria, is different from the northeast. And I love the fact that the Scottish borders are different from the Scottish Highlands, are different from the Western Isles, different from Orkney, different from the southwest. It's these different textures and dialects that are spread across that make up the rich tapestry of Britain.
Exactly.
In answer to your question, yes, English people should celebrate England. England's great. It's a great country, great heritage, great history, great traditions, of course.
Yeah, I agree. And can I just say, you know, I was thinking about this last night, actually, because occasionally I do think, actually, Neil, believe it or not. And I was thinking, you know, just because I don't like Nicola Sturgeon or I don't like Mark Drakeford or whatever the heck is happening in Northern Ireland, doesn't mean I don't like the Scots, the Welsh and the Northern Irish. I absolutely love them. And then you look next to it, you know, you've got next to near Wales, you've got Liverpool, of course, as well. Got its own identity. I'm from Manchester. Don't you dare cross that with the people of Leeds, for example. Goodness me, don't get me started on the Geordies. We are a patchwork quilt of a brilliant kind of ensemble of very, very different identities. And I would hate it if the Scots left. I don't like Nicola Sturgeon, but I would hate it if the Scots left. And I do not want to see the United Kingdom break up. How likely do you think it is that the UK will break up, you know, within the next few years?
I don't think it's likely at all. And I can tell you that most Scots don't like Nicola Sturgeon and most Scots don't like the SNP. It's another disastrous feature of the devolution settlement that Scotland was handed, that the version of proportional representation that we got up here was like like they say, a horse designed by a committee comes out looking like a camel. It enabled the SNP to game the system and create effectively a majority that the devolution settlement and the proportional representation was always supposed to stop. So most Scots do not support the SNP, do not support independence and don't like Nicola Sturgeon. And anything different is only an optical illusion. But I believe that the United Kingdom, Great Britain will prevail. Any country is only is an illusion. I mean, these places don't actually exist, not in any absolute sense. The borders that define them are arbitrary lines drawn by generations past. What matters is what people believe. A nation lasts, or a country lasts, like a dream as long as a majority of the people living there believe in it. If the majority of people believe in Britain, then Britain prevails. And the moment when too many people think of something different, then the dream disappears, like a mirage. So countries are potentially transient things, but England has been there for 1,000 years. Scotland has been there for 1,000 years as an entity, understanding and recognising itself. Germany has only been there since 1871. Italy, for example, is younger.
Yeah.
Our countries are old. The marriage of them, the union, is older than, it's 300 years old. It's from a time beyond the reach of living memory. And it has been hugely beneficial to the countries that are the constituent parts and to the populations that have lived here. There is an innate understanding of that. Most people, away from the politics, like Billy Connolly said, the declared desire to be a politician should bar you from life from ever being allowed to be one. You get out there amongst the ordinary people of Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, and they like Britain fine. They like this place. They love this place. You'll see that demonstrated at the Jubilee celebrations this weekend. And away from government, away from loudmouth politicians, most people just want to get on with their lives.
Neil, you're an absolute legend. Thank you very much. You're hypnotic as well. I just kind of I let you just wash over me. Really, it's quite it's fantastic. There's something hypnotic about you. Anyway, Neil Oliver, there, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, fanfare.
Thank you. Yes, well, after the break, we'll be asking whether pubs have become too insufferably middle class. Why can't you get served food on plates anymore? They have all these fancy things on menus that I can't even pronounce. Just give me a pie and chips, for goodness sake. But anyway, don't go away. We'll bring you that after this weather.
Hello, I'm Alex Deakin with your latest weather updates. The weather's slowly settling down as we head towards the long weekend. Still some showers around today, mainly across northern and eastern parts of England, but high pressure is trying to move in. There are a couple of weather fronts that will provide some showers during the long weekends, but certainly for most in the west, it's dry and bright out there this afternoon. The cloud breaking up across Wales, some sunny spells for Northern Ireland, any showers over southwest England fading, and nowhere near as many showers across Scotland. But across Northern England and Eastern England, we are still likely to see some heavy showers in places this afternoon, but they'll be hit and miss, by no means everywhere catching a downpour. And in the sunny spells in the south, temperatures back over 20 degrees Celsius. Still on the cool side across northeast England and northeast Scotland. Still a few scattered showers around through the first part of the evening, but pretty quickly they die away. So from 8-9 o'clock, it's dry almost everywhere. Clear skies, light winds. Going to be a chilly one, actually. Temperatures well down into single figures. A pretty fresh start considering we're in June on Thursday. But for the bank holiday, it is by and large going to be a cracking day. Some very early mist and fog that will clear away. Main exception will be Northern Ireland, where it will cloud over with some showery rain trickling in here. Maybe 1 or 2 showers in parts of western Scotland and northern England too. But for most places, it's looking dry and bright tomorrow with lengthy spells of sunshine and a warmer day as well. Temperatures back in the high teens across the north and low 20s across the south. We will see a bit more of that rain spreading into Northern Ireland during Thursday evening, maybe a few more showers drifting north across the Grampians and the Highlands of Scotland. But for most places, it stays dry as we head into Friday. Some showers in the west on Friday, increasing chance through Saturday and Sunday of seeing showers in the south, but still a lot of dry weather to be had during the Jubilee.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV.
On radio. On digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices. With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Defence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good morning, it's 10:22 and this is To The Point with me, Mercy Moroki, and Patrick Christie's on GB News. We're live on your TV, online and radio.
Right, well, everyone knows I love a good pub, but is there anything more annoying than ordering a plate of chips, them arriving on a shovel or a piece of roof slate, for example? Basically, something other than an actual plate. Or, you know, I suppose if the rugby is on or the football instead, maybe we could do something else. But no, seriously, though, I get wound up by this. I once got served a roast dinner in a pint glass.
What?
Yeah, you heard.
Well, apparently this is a frustration shared by many of our viewers and listeners, because Graham wrote in to say this: why is it a struggle to get food actually served on plates these days? The Great British Boozer is dying a death, and it got us thinking, you know, are pubs trying to be too posh with their menus and with how they serve their foods? Because I think most people just get a normal plate, put some chips on there, put pie, gravy, bit of
feed me, basically.
Yeah,
just feed me.
you don't want it all fancy, do you? But well,
no, I don't. No, I don't. Also, I heard, I don't know whether or not this is true, but I heard that if you serve things, you know, those wooden plaques,
yes,
or whatever, that's actually less hygienic than a plate, because things get in the grooves, etc.
I would
actually,
so.
You know, they're deadly. Anyway, right. Is it a good thing though that pubs are kind of going a bit nouveau riche? Nouveau riche. Anyway, Adam Brooks joins us now, a fan favourite here at GB News, to talk about this, and of course he knows a thing or two about running a good pub. Adam, what's the most ridiculous thing that you serve in one of your pubs?
I'm a bit guilty that the slate, I took over a pub in 2014 and I actually serve a few starters on slates. They were already there, but I'm 98% serve my stuff on plate. You know, I'm not really into this this posh movement, this trendy movement with that, to be fair.
Yeah. Do you think pubs are becoming too gentrified, I suppose, in a way to sort of stay relevant and maybe pretend they're a bit more upmarket than they are to attract more business? Because I really do think people don't, when they go into a pub, they just want the food to taste good and they don't really care about all the bells and whistles.
Well, look, there's two sort of different types of pubs. I've got two different types of pubs. You know, one that's predominantly for drinkers and one that's predominantly, you know, for diners. And I think we see in the 1990s with the birth of the gastro pub, and that came about because the government changed. They brought out a bill where pubcos had to sort of dispose of their estates and such, and entrepreneurs came in and sort of snapped them up. So a lot of gastro pubs were born in the 90s. So that's one sort of movement that changed. And also with the smoking ban in 2007, pubs had to change again. Many of their models had to change. So look, as society changes as well, pubs will sort of go with that to some extent. I mean, some of the lists that I've read from the article, you know, where this all sort of comes from, you know, are ridiculous. You know, serving food in a pint glass, especially a cottage pie or a roast, is just obscene. You know, some of the bizarre toilet signs that I've seen on there, and we've got, you know, quirky things in pubs that are really sort of, they're bordering crazy, to be fair. It's a strange movement, but I think a lot of these pubs you're finding, like Islington and Hoxton and places, gentrified areas that are trying to be a little bit out there. I mean, you know, the Great British Pub is still out there, and you know, they have got to move with the times, but some of these things are ridiculous.
No, look, I agree with you, and I've worked in a fair few pubs in my time as well, and that's kind of that was my job, I suppose, for numerous years when I was a bit younger. And nothing. The great British staples is basically they're there for a reason. That's what most people like. It's what most people order, as far as I'm concerned. So people try and tart it up, and they go, start providing something that people don't want. I just don't. I don't really understand it, and I think there's not really a market for it, is there? But so what? Can I just ask, kind of, while I've got you, what are the names of the places you own, and where can we find your menus?
Right, so I've got the Three Colts pub, which is a backstreet sort of boozer type pub. It's 75% drink, 25% food, so you can come and enjoy a nice drink. And obviously there is a food menu there. It's the threecolts.com. But and I've got the Owl in High Beach, which is more a food family house. You take your kids there, or you walk up through the forest and have a nice meal rather than stand at the bar and have a drink. So there's two different types of pubs that I've got there. And I said, the pub trade is a great trade, and there's pubs out there to suit everyone. I do think we need to stay away from a lot of the nonsense that we've seen, especially on these tweets. So some of the mad, quirky things that pubs are doing are a little bit silly. But, the Great British Pub is out there, and they're in all different forms and types to suit everyone.
Good stuff, Adam. Thank you very much. Adam Brooks there, of course, talking about pubs, basically, which is... I think that's... if I ever went on Mastermind, right?
Yes.
I think pubs would be my specialist topic.
What would you cook? What's your favourite pub meal?
My favourite pub meal? Everything. No, my favourite pub meal is... I like a roast dinner. I like a roast dinner on a Sunday.
If pork's on the menu, and by pork I mean a pork belly, then that is absolutely what. I don't even bother looking at the rest of the menu because it just hits the spot every time.
What's that? You got it all, have you?
Great pork belly at both my pubs, so maybe you two have to come down.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Cheers, mate. Anyway, right.
Thank you, Adam. Well, now, in case you haven't noticed, it is Jubilee week with a 4-day bank holiday of celebrations getting underway tomorrow. But how far would you go to show your dedication to our royal family?
Yeah, well, many of us have held royal street parties in the past and waited outside abbeys, for example, maternity wards to catch a glimpse of the royals, and babies being made, I suppose, in a way. But one lady has gone one step further.
Yes, well, Margaret Tyler has... Britain's most royalist, has been named that after turning her home into a shrine for the royal family. And a royal reporter, these are difficult things.
It's tricky, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually quite a challenge.
By the way, backstory.
Let's do it again. So we've got...
Backstory. Kenyan people are infamous for getting their R's and L's mixed up. So I struggle to do that sometimes because they're the other way around. And anyway, well, our royal reporter, Cameron Walker, went to meet her.
This is the home of Britain's loyalist royalist. Margaret Tyler claims to have a collection of over 8,000 royal artefacts, and I've come here to meet her in the year of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
Hello, Margaret.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Heritage House.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Margaret's one of the country's biggest royal fans. She's met the Queen 4 times.
I think people recognise the jacket even if they don't recognise me.
We start our tour in the Jubilee room.
And where did you start collecting all this memorabilia?
I just enjoyed it. I started off with a little glass dish. It was 2.5p. You tell how long ago that was.
I can see we've got stuff from the Diamond Jubilee over there.
Yes.
And you must have things from the Silver Jubilee.
Yes.
What's your favourite item in this room, do you think?
Well, I like these very much. I did used to collect dolls, royal dolls.
Margaret has many photographs of our monarch.
What's your favourite kind of iconic image of Her Majesty?
I like that one very much, actually, over there, because that's when she was doing her war duties.
Margaret has items dating back to 1953, but there's much newer items too.
Harry and Meghan bunting from their marriage in 2018.
Yes, yes.
Well, how much has happened in 4 years?
I know, and not really all that pleasant at certain times.
Prince Harry's brother, William, announced his engagements to Catherine Middleton in November 2010. Margaret has an exact replica of the dress Kate wore at the photo call.
I know the model doesn't look like Kate, but you've got to hang it on something, you know, I don't want it rolled up in a ball or anything.
Well, it's a replica dress.
Yes, it is. And here we have the royal children.
Yeah.
William and Catherine's children.
Margaret spent days outside St Mary's Hospital in Paddington, where William and Kate's children were born. William's mother, Diana, tragically killed in a Paris car crash in 1997, has an entire room dedicated to her.
I was so shocked. I sat on the stairs, I sat there for an hour. I was shaking all over. I couldn't believe it. My legs wouldn't work. I could not believe it.
She even commissioned a ceiling portrait of the late princess.
There's a beautiful portrait of Princess Diana with her two sons,
Yes,
William and Harry.
I love that. I just love that. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? She was a perfect mother, wasn't she? She was there for her boys at every stage, as much as she could.
Did you ever meet Princess Diana?
Yes, I did, yes.
Oh, wow, what was she like?
She came to our local hospital, Northwick Park, and I tried to make a little sort of thing to, you know, put on here. I'm not very good, I'm not very artistic. And she saw me wearing it, and she threw back her head and laughed and said, "Oh, you have got it bad."
Margaret, thank you so much for showing me around your home.
That's
It's been an
okay.
absolute pleasure.
Yes, yes. I like sharing it with people.
Yes, Margaret, you love to see it.
I love that.
Yeah, that was so cute. Lovely Margaret, absolutely.
So sweet and innocent, isn't it? If you want to be obsessed with something, well, then I think the royals is a good thing to be obsessed with.
Absolutely.
Well, our royal family.
Yeah, only our royal
Only our
royal family. Every other royal family. No. Yes, anyway, right, so that's enough of that. So after the break, with high ticket prices, sports packages and subscription services, we'll be asking, are ordinary people being priced out of watching sports? But before that, here's a look at this morning's news.
A very good morning. It's 10:33. I'm Rosie Wright, keeping you up to date on GB News. Now, the Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab has defended Boris Johnson, telling GB News, not every breach of law amounts to a breach of the ministerial code. Well, the Prime Minister is facing criticism from his ethics advisor, Lord Geit, who says Boris Johnson's fixed penalty notice may have breached the ministerial code. But Mr Raab told us the Prime Minister's going nowhere.
It's only Graham Brady, the chair of the 1922 committee, that will know, but I'm confident that the overwhelming majority of MPs that I talk to want to see us focused on the job at hand, the cost of living, the situation in Ukraine, the crime-fighting agenda, the skills agenda, and so I think it's very unlikely we'll see a leadership.
British Airways has cancelled at least 124 flights at Heathrow. EasyJet's cancelled over 30 flights from Gatwick today as half-term travel disruption continues. Well, BAE says passengers were given advance notice. Airlines are blaming delays and cancellations on staff shortages. The Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, is meeting with airline bosses today to try to find out what's gone wrong. Shop prices grew at 2.8% in May. That's the fastest rate in more than a decade. The British Retail Consortium says the situation is likely to get worse before it gets better, with prices continuing to rise. GPs and health centre staff are facing nearly twice the number of violent incidents they did 5 years ago. The British Medical Journal says analysis of police data reveals a rise in public order offences, such as threatening behaviour from patients. Stalking and harassment incidents at GP surgeries have increased almost threefold. A record 2 million people are estimated to be suffering from long COVID. The Office for National Statistics says of those affected, nearly 3/4 say they're suffering 12 or more weeks after they had or had suspected coronavirus. Over 370,000 are still suffering 2 years after having the infection. TV, online and DAB+ radio, this is GB News.
Direct Bullion sponsors the Finance Report on GB News for gold and silver investment.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound is 1.257 to the dollar. The pound is 1.176 to the euro. The price of gold currently stands at £1,456.16 per ounce.
Direct Bullion sponsors the Finance Report on GB News, investments that matter.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you. And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Good morning, everyone. It's 10:38. This is To The Point with me, Patrick Christie's, and Mercy Moroki, live as ever on your TV, online and radio this morning.
Yes, well, it's Wednesday today, so we're discussing the issues you suggested we talk about, the things that are on your mind, and rising crime and the failure to take control of order on the streets is something that many of you have been getting in touch about. Phil, for example, wrote in to say this: so many police stations have closed, it will take ages for the cavalry to arrive if anything kicks off.
Well, Marianne says that policing and our criminal justice system are completely broken. What about those doing something about the situation? The Neighbourhood Watch celebrates its 40-year anniversary this week.
Yes, well, we are delighted to be joined by the CEO of Neighbourhood Watch Network, John Hayward Cripps, and I almost said Crisps then, because I'm hungry, and the charity's founding member, Colleen Atkins. Thank you both for joining us so much. There is definitely a feeling, a sense across, certainly our viewers and listeners, but many people I speak to, that the police aren't as good as they used to be, and people are having to take policing into their own hands in many cases. John, what would you say to people who think that?
I think the police do a phenomenal job. I mean, they're amazingly committed to their role, but obviously they're cuts in recent years, and the change in what the demands for policing in terms of cybercrime. If you think when Neighbourhood Watch started 40 years ago, there was no such thing as the internet or cybercrime, whereas now a huge amount, I think something approaching 50% of crimes have an online element, which is really, really difficult, and obviously with no boundaries. So that's really hard for the police to tackle. And I think all the increase in mental health issues that the police also have to cope with makes it a really difficult task.
Yes, no, look, absolutely. Now, I was just hoping that you might be able to, Colleen, just fill me in a bit. So I always see the Neighbourhood Watch signs, OK? They're everywhere. They're in people's front windows, everything. But I don't actually see a lot of people watching. I've always been a little bit, and forgive me for this, I've always been a little bit concerned that my neighbours are snitches. Is that the truth, Colleen?
Absolutely not. What we are, we're good neighbours, and we're just making sure that our area is a safe and pleasant place to live. And it's not just about homes, it's about the whole environment, about the whole community, and it's about bringing community together. It's a really good way of making sure of bringing people together, making the area safer, and making the area a much pleasanter place to live.
Colleen, can I just say, you sound like one of the most lovely women that I've ever spoken to in my life. Oh, my gosh.
So tell us the sorts of things that Neighbourhood Watch does, you know, in practice, because as Patrick says, there are these signs everywhere and people have a general idea of their purpose. But what do they actually do?
Go on, John.
Yeah.
So Neighbourhood Watch does a whole range of activities. If I just give you an example, we do obviously, if people see anything that they think is illegal or not right, from street harassment to burglaries to car crime, that would be reported to the police. But also Neighbourhood Watch has street parties. We've got a whole range given it's our 40th birthday and we're celebrating this year of street parties. Neighbourhood Watch is involved in litter picks, checking up if people are lonely or vulnerable and making sure we have contact with them. We have tea and tech sessions, so younger people who are really tech savvy, helping older people that may be less so, having sharing a cup of tea and learning about the internet and how to keep safe. We work with the Girl Guides and a Girl Guides badge. We have crime prevention campaigns. We run a Neighbour of the Year competition. I could go on.
Well, absolutely, no. And Colleen, can I just say, have you got any real success stories? Because apart from, I suppose, stopping crime in a way, make sure everyone's safe, it is a sense of community, isn't it? But can I just ask, have you ever stopped a crime, Colleen?
No.
Oh, bless you. No, but seriously though, so obviously Neighbourhood Watch is.
Oh, she thought you said, have you committed a crime?
Committed a crime? Oh no! No, sorry, no, that's my job. No, but yeah, there's been a few crimes live on air. Let me tell you that much, Colleen. But no, but seriously though, have you? What success stories have Neighbourhood Watch got?
If I just give you a tiny...
Colleen,
somebody
back off, John.
Reported something suspicious happening, and the police arrived and found somebody halfway through a window, and obviously that was a really good arrest. But there's so much different things. We have a community garden where the community come together to make the community look better, and also bring along their own plants and plant them and help with the weeding, etc. And that's just a way of bringing the community together, and that's what Neighbourhood Watch is about. It's about community, about making it a stronger and safer community, and as I've said before, a much more pleasant place to live, and knowing your neighbours, knowing that they're there when you need them, and especially for people who have been living in isolation during the pandemic, just making sure that the neighbours pop in, say hello, have a cup of tea, and just take away some of that loneliness that some people are experiencing.
It sounds like a great thing to do. And how do you, John, finally to you, if people wanted to get involved with their local Neighbourhood Watch, I mean, how do they go about doing that?
If they go onto our website, which is ourwatch.co.uk, I should know that better. There's lots of information about whether there's a Neighbourhood Watch nearby. If there isn't, lots of information about how to start one and how to join a local association. It's really easy, and it basically starts with saying hello to your neighbour and getting connected.
Thank you so much, both of you. You're tremendous people. You are, I think, the perfect ambassadors for what is an incredible service, an incredible thing, the Neighbourhood Watch. And thank you very much. I'd just like to, on behalf, I will speak for the nation now and say thank you very much for everything that you guys do. So really appreciate that. So that was Colleen Atkins there, of course. And John Cripps, lovely stuff. Would you ever get involved with the Neighbourhood Watch?
I would, actually. Only if I lived in a nice neighbourhood.
What? If you had something worth nicking?
well, no. If I wouldn't want. See, the thing with Neighbourhood Watch is if you live in an area, maybe quite a poor, deprived area, local council estates, where there's lots of antisocial behaviour, you will. The snitching thing is a legitimate point. People don't want to snitch on their neighbours sometimes, or they don't want to be involved with the police or anything like that. So I understand why people might be averse to it, but I think it's an otherwise, lovely thing to do, and it's obviously good for the community, especially the old people in the community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, we're going to move on from that. So from one criminal to another, Aidan McGee joins us. I'm only joking, Aidan. Former England cricket captain Michael Vaughan has hit out at Lord's Cricket Ground for high ticket prices. He tweeted, quote, "I guarantee if tickets weren't £100 to £160, it would be jam-packed. So why are they so expensive?" But isn't it just tickets that are expensive, basically? Sports fans are, of course, expected to dish out their money, aren't they? Subscription services, sports packages, just to watch live TV.
Yes, well, one of our loyal viewers, Mary, has written to us to ask, is watching sport on television now only for the rich? Well, joining us in the studio now to talk about this in more detail is Aidan McGee, sports broadcaster and friend of the show. Yes. Thank you for joining us. It's true, isn't it? I won't name any broadcasters, but certain sports packages from certain channels are incredibly expensive. And I mean, we're in a cost of living crisis. People aren't going to be able to afford these kinds of things anymore.
Blame the EU. And that goes back to 2002-03. it's the European Union competition authorities who decided in their wisdom. And by the way, there was no swell of opinion that anything should change. Sky had the rights for the entire Premier League. It was a one-stop shop. It was reasonably priced. The coverage was outstanding back then, as it is now, to be fair to them. But the European Union competition authorities decided that the rights portfolio had to be pluralised. So all it did, in effect, and they accused the Premier League at the time of unfair competition in terms of their tendering process for contracts. And so we had a situation where within 3 years of that directive, Setanta entered the market. They had the Saturday night rights for the Premier League game. Couldn't really afford it, went bust within a year. Then we had ESPN, they came and went. It wasn't really for them. They had the money, but it wasn't really for them. They were owned by Disney, it was fine. It wasn't a money thing, they just thought it wasn't something they could make work. And lastly, we've had BT over the last 10, 11 years. Now, what it's amounted to is the punter has been punished. They now have to buy 2 or 3 subscriptions to watch Champions League, Premier League, EFL and anything else. You also have to consider the cost of ticketing as well. I want to take you back, if I may, to August 1993. The Premier League is 1 year old. I'm outside Millwall Football Club with my father. My father's not interested in football. He thinks football's for idiots like me.
Just after the scrap, was he?
So he was knocking on then, so I doubt it. So we were outside there. They built a new stadium. They have moved themselves about a mile or 2 away from the old den. It was a very American thing to do. Everybody's watching it. Can a football club supplant itself from sometimes its local community? In this case, it was only a couple of miles down the road. But when I got there, it generated a lot of local press. I wasn't a Millwall fan. My dad hated football. We were there for curiosity. It was a full house. They played Sporting Lisbon, and there were jumbotron screens. There were foot-long hot dogs. The tickets you couldn't pay on the turnstile anymore. You had to go through Ticketmaster. This was in 1993, 29 years ago. I remember this shadowy figure coming towards me in a leather jacket and jeans. He's clearly spent a few too many hours in the pubs around Deptford, Lewisham and Catford. And he just said to me, as he walked past, he said, 20 quid for an effing game of football. And that stuck in my mind because that is the staging post 29 years ago in my adolescent mind for when football began to detach itself from working people. Now, £20 now, Mercy, sounds very cheap. But if we move it on, match day revenue for football clubs, it's not that important for clubs anymore. Manchester United's match day revenue in 2009 was 18% of their overall turnover. Sorry, 41%. It's now only 18%. So what we pay on the day, us three could go to Old Trafford on the opening day of next season, we could part with 200 quid. It's not going to blow a hole in the budget.
And the rest? Look, OK, fair enough, it was last minute, but by the time that I wanted to go, God, I didn't go because we got spanked by Liverpool, actually. But I would have paid for 2 tickets, plus your train fare, right, down back to Manchester. It would have cost me more than 700 quid, or the day. Right?
Yeah, but you like those posh seats, though.
Oh, you've got to have a bit of padding, mate. You've got a bit of padding. But yes, just a whiff of Bobby Charlton. No, but that's for no guaranteed result anymore.
But it's not. No, exactly. But it's not just the price. I was talking to a Leeds fan this morning. He said he's got a home season ticket and a away season ticket. He lives in Acton. Now, he goes home and away because he commits to the club over the course of the season. It's actually quite cost-effective. Where the problem comes is the travel. Yeah. Petrol is hugely expensive. He had a rearranged fixture at Everton a couple of seasons ago on a Tuesday night at short notice, £234 return on the train. So that's where the problem comes in. And it's only going to get worse, Patrick. It's only going to go up. The marketisation of football has reached saturation point, but the next TV deal is going to be even bigger because Sky cannot afford to lose the jewel in their crown, the Premier League. Absolutely. Because if you take it away, they've got 2 bob left.
But they do it well, though. This is the thing. You know, I think you alluded to earlier. I grew up watching football on Sky, and it was brilliant. It's fun. It still is brilliant. But I'm concerned now. Football. You don't like to say something is it's not a working class game, as it were, but it was for the for the working class.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we do have to leave it there because we have something quite special. Thank you so much, Aidan.
No problem.
We have something quite special. We've got some viewers coming up to speak to, and I did drift off once you said foot-long hot dog, by the way. So, but what our lovely viewers and listeners doing during the Jubilee bank holiday weekend, we're going to be somewhere special tomorrow. Well, get in touch and let us know what you... I'm wearing something quite patriotic.
Quite, very patriotic.
You'll have to tune in and see what that is. gbviews@gbnews.uk is, of course, our email. And 2 of our viewers, Sue and Heidi from the Northamptonshire village of Winwick, have got incredible plans for their village. They've got tree planting, a race night and a big Jubilee lunch.
Well, Sue and Heidi, join us now. Get in. This is fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. It's very big. Couldn't get any more patriotic unless you're wearing a mask of the Queen. But there we go. Thank you very much for coming on the show. So this is great. You are the very best of British. So talk to me about the order of events then at your neck of the woods. What's going on?
Blimey. Well, there's only 40 of us here. But what we lack in size, we make up for in community spirit. And we've got all sorts. We've got the beacon lighting on Thursday. We've got a duck race on Friday. We've got a lamb roast on Saturday. And Heidi's done the most magnificent big lunch on Sunday. So we planted trees and we got a time capsule. So all sorts of stuff we've done.
That sounds amazing. I'm actually from Northamptonshire. I don't know if you know, but I grew up in Northampton. Tell us about what the Queen and the Jubilee means to you. Of course, we can tell you're massive fans, and we're looking at pictures of both of you holding Union Jacks at the moment. But what does this occasion actually mean to you personally?
What does it mean?
Well, I think it sums up England and a British village, really. It is part of what we are and what we stand up for. We love the family, and we're quite local as well. We have quite a lot of different royalty around Northamptonshire, as you're aware, Mercy. So I think we need to keep it going, keep royalty strong, and keep tourism coming to England as well.
I think it's all about family. It's all about family, really. I mean, we have our own families, and we have the families in the community, and also we have the nation is a family, and when we come together like this, it's just wonderful.
It is. We're the best country in the world. It's because of people like you, absolutely. And so I mean, this is really a good day, sense of community, isn't it? Really, I think. And so what are you guys planning on doing in terms of the actual tree planting? Oh no, actually, tell you what I want to ask. What's in your time capsule?
Oh, blimey. Do you know, Patrick, I'm so glad you asked about the time capsule, because one of the things we wanted to do in Winwick is we wanted to say what it was like to live here in 2022, and we wanted to let people of the future know about us. And so what we did, every single house in the village has had an envelope to fill, and they can put in whatever they like. They can put in pictures of themselves, their houses, what they do for a living, their holidays, their kids, their dogs, whatever they like. There's also a form in there that sort of says a bit about them, so that when it's opened in 100 years' time, they will have a complete picture of what it was like to be here in this tiny little village in 2022. And in fact, somebody's even going to put a bottle of scotch in, so that...
Right, I will see you in 10.
And they can all have a drink with us.
Yes, absolutely.
Incredible.
Just sorry about this. I thought I heard a bit of noise in the background there. Were there some bells ringing or something? What's going on?
Oh, well, you don't know. We've had...
This is going to be great.
He's here somewhere.
Himself, who is it? Who's the bell ringer?
We start on Thursday with the beacon in Bruce's Field, and we thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a town crier?
Oh, get in. Here we go. Whoa, is he...
Can we meet?
Here we go. Yes. Right, duck down. We need to see you there. Oh, brilliant stuff.
Wow, that's amazing.
Go on, give us a oh yay or whatever.
Oh God.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay!
Oh, fantastic. This is good stuff. We love to see it. Well, look, we'd like to say thank you very much for being such good sports, for coming on. But also, look, when all said and done, people like you are actually the backbone of this country, right? I love someone who drapes himself in the flag. I love someone who's unashamedly proud of this country, and unashamedly proud of our royal family as well. Yes. As far as I'm concerned, we're the best country in the world, and it's because of people like you. So thank you very, very much.
Here.
Sue, Heidi,
thank you so much. And, what's your name? Trevor at the back. Thank you as well.
Town crier.
Trevor Town crier. There you go.
Fantastic. Oh, I tell you what, that's brightened my day up.
Yeah.
Good stuff. OK, right. Well, that was nuts. I love it.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't get that on the BBC, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
The amount of times that we say that on this show.
Yeah. That was lovely. That's cheered me up. That's cheered me up. Yeah. Well,
you could go. You could
yeah, I'm
dig
going to
up
go
the time
around.
capsule.
Yeah, I'm going to go dig up.
Scotch.
Yeah, sadly, I've gone tea.
Oh, you have.
So.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, anyway, tell us what your plans are in your community for the Jubilee weekend. gbviews@gbnews.uk, and keep the rest of your thoughts coming in to us. gbviews@gbnews as well. We'll be back with more of today's top stories and plenty of your views after the break.
Hello, I'm Alex Deakin with your latest weather update. The weather's slowly settling down as we head towards the long weekend. Still some showers around today, mainly across northern and eastern parts of England, but high pressure is trying to move in. There are a couple of weather fronts that will provide some showers during the long weekend, but certainly for most in the west, it's dry and bright out there this afternoon. The cloud breaking up across Wales, some sunny spells for Northern Ireland, any showers over southwest England fading, and nowhere near as many showers across Scotland. But across northern England and eastern England, we are still likely to see some heavy showers in places this afternoon, but they'll be hit and miss, by no means everywhere catching a downpour. And in the sunny spells in the south, temperatures back over 20 degrees Celsius. Still on the cool side across northeast England and northeast Scotland. Still a few scattered showers around through the first part of the evening, but pretty quickly they die away. So from 8-9 o'clock, it's dry almost everywhere. Clear skies, light winds. Going to be a chilly one, actually. Temperatures well down into single figures. A pretty fresh start considering we're in June on Thursday. But for the bank holiday, it is by and large going to be a cracking day. Some very early mist and fog that will clear away. Main exception will be Northern Ireland, where it will cloud over with some showery rain trickling in here. Maybe 1 or 2 showers in parts of western Scotland and northern England too. But for most places, it's looking dry and bright tomorrow with lengthy spells of sunshine and a warmer day as well. Temperatures back in the high teens across the north and low 20s across the south. We will see a bit more of that rain spreading into Northern Ireland during Thursday evening, maybe a few more showers drifting north across the Grampians and the Highlands of Scotland. But for most places, it stays dry as we head into Friday. Some showers in the west on Friday, increasing chance through Saturday and Sunday of seeing showers in the south, but still a lot of dry weather to be had during the Jubilee.
Join us for a special GB News event.
The celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
From pageantry here at the Palace
to the parties in your street.
We'll bring you 4 days of
unforgettable moments
this bank holiday weekend.
Join us live up and down the country as we share your memories
of Her Majesty's extraordinary reign.
Send us your stories, photographs and videos
at Jubilee at gbnews.uk.
Come and celebrate with us
on GB News, the People's Channel.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere. We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
With honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah. We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Well, where did that first hour go? Hey, good morning. This is To The Point on GB News with me, Patrick Christie's, and Mercy Maroki, as well on your TV, radio and online. We're here, as ever, with a load of stories to get stuck into, expert guests and your views as well.
Yes, and make sure you get in touch with those views, gbviews@gbnews.uk. We'll get to those in just a moment, but first, the latest news with Rosie.
A very good morning. It's coming up to 2 minutes past 11. I'm Rosie Wright, keeping you up to date on GB News. The Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, has defended Boris Johnson, telling GB News, not every breach of law amounts to a breach of the ministerial code. The Prime Minister is facing criticism from his ethics advisor, who says Boris Johnson's fixed penalty notice may have breached the ministerial code. Well, Lord Gate questioned the Prime Minister's willingness to take responsibility for his own conduct over his handling of the Partygate scandal. The Prime Minister responded that a fixed penalty notice is not a criminal conviction and that he's corrected the record in Parliament in line with the code. Well, Dominic Raab told us the Prime Minister's going nowhere.
It's only Graham Brady, the chair of the 1922 committee, that will know, but I'm confident that the overwhelming majority of MPs that I talk to want to see us focused on the job at hand, the cost of living, the situation in Ukraine, the crime-fighting agenda, the skills agenda, and so I think it's very unlikely we'll see a leadership challenge.
The Transport Secretary Grant Shapps is meeting with airline bosses to find out what's gone wrong as half-term travel disruption continues. British Airways has cancelled at least 124 flights at Heathrow. EasyJet's cancelled over 30 from Gatwick today. BA says passengers were given advance notice. Well, airlines are blaming delays and cancellations on staff shortages. Speaking to GB News, Shadow Scotland Secretary Ian Murray says the industry's been asking for help for a long time.
They knew it was coming and they've seen what happened at the Easter break, and they have been asking for the government to assist and the government to put policies in place that would help them to recruit staff and to get them through security checks as quickly as possible. So there's blame on all sides here, but we need the government to step up, and whilst it's paralysed by the Transport Secretary spending his time persuading colleagues to support the Prime Minister, we've got a government who's got its eye off the ball when the travel industry and the trade unions and the employees are all saying please give us a hand and help us out.
Let's find out more. We can go to East Midlands Airport now to speak to our reporter Will Hollis. Will, a lot of people, of course, really disappointed. It's half-term, the long bank holiday weekend. Can you just give us a bit of an overview of the scale of the disruption?
Yes, well, there's lots of critique today from Grant Shapps, the Transport Secretary, towards the airline industry. He's critiqued them on overbooking, seriously overbooking for flights and holidays, and that's one reason he says that we might be seeing more disruption over this period, the same disruption that we saw over Easter. Obviously, this is all residual effects that we've seen from the pandemic, where we've seen this surge of people going back towards holidays, lots of bookings for those holidays today from places like towards places like Faro, towards places like Kos, holiday destinations. And the scale of the problem is that because of those shortages, there could be hundreds of flights cancelled over this coming bank holiday weekend.
Will, thank you very much from East Midlands Airport. Now, in some developing news, the footballer Kurt Zouma has been ordered to carry out 180 hours of community service, and he's been banned from keeping cats for 5 years after he admitted kicking and slapping his pet cat. He's also been told to pay court costs of nearly £9,000. The 27-year-old West Ham defender pleaded guilty last week at Thames Magistrates Court to 2 counts of animal cruelty. A video of the incident was shared by his brother, who also admitted to aiding and abetting the offence. Well, he's been ordered to carry out 140 hours of community service. Shop prices grew at 2.8% in May. That's the fastest rate in more than a decade. The British Retail Consortium says the situation's likely to get worse before it gets better. Fresh food prices grew by 4.5% last month, with items like poultry and margarine seeing some of the largest increases due to the rising costs of animal feed and global food prices. Well, the former Home Office Minister, Norman Baker, says the government doesn't have a clear direction for dealing with the crisis.
The fact of the matter is, in economic terms, the ship of state has been swaying all over the place with a hand on the tiller. I mean, are we seeing a low tax Conservative Party or a high tax Conservative Party? We're seeing national insurance rise, then we see money given away. They seem to be changing their views from week to week, and there's no consistency or approach. And I think that's what alarms MPs. They don't know where the government's going. It changes its view from one week to the next.
A record 2 million people are estimated to be suffering from long COVID. The ONS says of those affected, nearly 3/4 say they're suffering 12 or more weeks after they had or suspected they had the infection. Over 370,000 people are still suffering 2 years after having the virus. Common symptoms include fatigue, shortness of breath and what's called brain fog. You're now up to date on GB News, and I'll bring you more as it happens. Now let's head back to Patrick and Mercy.
Good morning, it's 11:06 and it's Wednesday, the 1st of June. Can you believe it's June already? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, you are with To The Point on GB News with me, Mercy Moroki, and Patrick Christie's on your TV, radio and online.
Yeah, well, Wednesday means one thing and one thing only. Our show is dedicated to the issues that you want us to talk about.
Yes, that's right. All week we've been asking you to tell us what you want to hear about. And we've got some great discussions lined up with some expert guests. And, of course, we'll be bringing you a couple of major updates on some important goings-on in the world today, not least, of course, preparations for the Jubilee.
Yeah, just quickly, there's an input... OK, well, no, I can't do it now. Anyway, the school massacre in Texas has prompted calls for gun law reforms in the United States. We'll be talking to an expert about how America can shake its gun problem and whether our own gun laws are as tight as we think.
Yes, Anne is teaching to politicise. Many of you have got in touch to tell us you're worried about what your children are being taught by woke teachers in school. Well, our culture and social affairs editor, Inaya Falarin Iman, has an exclusive investigation into politicised teaching in schools.
She does indeed. And are we ignoring our rural communities? We talk a lot about our big cities, don't we, and towns, but what about those living in the sticks? How are they being affected by the cost of living crisis? We'll be addressing some issues that you've got in touch about this.
Yes, and of course, Jubilee celebrations get underway tomorrow, and we're getting in the Jubilee spirit as well, looking ahead to what we can expect over the next few days. Our royal reporter, Cameron Walker, is at RAF Holton in Aylesbury to get a glimpse of the final.
He's everywhere, Cameron. He's absolutely everywhere. He was in Canada. He's in Canada last week. He's been in a royal fanatics bedroom recently, not like that. A super fan, there we go, that's the right word, thank you very much. And now he's in Aylesbury. Gosh, he's a tourist. Yeah. Anyway, I would also like to just say thank you very much, by the way, to Annette, right?
Have you actually read what she's written?
Yes, it's lovely. It says, Dear Patrick, just a little note to say what a huge fan we are of GB News, and they don't mention you, and how much we love your output, especially on a Friday evening. There we go. She sent me some chocolate with a P on it, right? And this is just, look, hey, if you want to, send me stuff.
Somebody actually sent me money once to pay off my tuition, not pay it off, towards my tuition fee, which I never said thank you for, but I will
I'll
write
tell you
back
what, Annette's
eventually.
chocolate looks pointless now, doesn't it? Thanks, Annette. Where's the money? Anyway, right, GBViews at gbnews.uk.
Yes, coming up... Now, we saw this story in the news yesterday, a very tragic story. The mass shootings at a school in Texas have prompted widespread calls for stricter control of who can actually own firearms. Although the idea of guns and assault rifles being widely available to buy might seem horrifying to many of us, one viewer got in touch to say that the media often doesn't understand American culture around gun ownership.
Yes, indeed. Well, Peter said that although frequently legitimately used for hunting, target shooting and, of course, personal protection. The constitutional right is there to fundamentally protect the states against an overbearing federal government. For this reason, there is no way that American gun rights will ever be reformed.
Yes, well, in the UK, our gun laws were reformed following the Dunblane massacre in 1996, making it stricter to own a firearm. But how easy is it to obtain a gun in the UK? Do we have a good system in place? And should and can America reform their gun laws? Well, joining us to discuss this is Diggory Haddock, a firearms dealer and writer. Perfect person to talk to then. What's your opinion of firearms in general? Because I'm assuming you think they can serve a purpose, but what purpose can an assault rifle serve in a civil democracy?
Well, thanks for having me back again. It's nice to be here. The term assault rifle is one perhaps we should clear up. Because it's been central to this question. People are often using it as a term as if it's a distinct type of rifle. And typically what they mean by an assault rifle is one of the AR types, an AR-15, something like that, which in civilian ownership in the US is not a fully automatic, i.e. a rifle that will fire continuously if you pull the trigger in a sort of machine gun style. It's a semi-automatic rifle where you have to pull the trigger once to fire one round, and then it automatically loads the next round, and then you pull the trigger and it fires the next round without you having to manipulate anything on the gun. So what they talk about as being assault rifles in the context of these American shootings are semi-automatic rifles which look like military rifles. They're what are often
all that, and I understand all that, and I don't really want to get bogged down in the semantics of it all. I just wondered what you think the purpose, regardless of whether they're assault rifles or semi-automatic, what is the purpose of those kinds of guns? What good purpose could it possibly serve in a civil, relatively safe democracy like America?
Well, it's not really semantics. What I'm trying to explain to you is that there's no mechanical difference between a sporting rifle designed for shooting recreational targets or hunting in terms of the way it operates. A semi-automatic is a semi-automatic. It doesn't matter whether it looks like a military rifle or whether it looks like a hunting rifle.
Let me put it this way. Why does somebody living in a relatively safe civil democracy need a gun that can kill multiple people within a matter of seconds?
Well, in the UK, semi-automatics are not allowed above .22 rimfire caliber. The American context, they would argue that it's in their constitution that they have their right to bear arms shall not be infringed. So it's in their constitution. The Americans would argue that it's not up to government to grant them their rights. They have those rights enshrined in the constitution, and you can't take them away.
Look, I get that. I mean, and also, I think this American thing, I think people miss the point a little bit with, if people will excuse me here, when it comes to America. The ship has sailed, right? The big gunny ship has sailed, right? There's so many guns in America now. So you outlaw guns or something. Well, there's so many of them. It doesn't matter anymore because you could get hold of them. If I wanted to buy a gun off you, Diggory, what would it cost me?
Well, I sell guns from £100 to £50,000.
You can get a gun for £100? Like
yes.
A pea shooter or something?
No, you could get a bolt-action 22 or a cheap 12-bore shotgun.
And how quick could it be?
So who are the kinds of people who buy guns, and what kinds of test assessments, perhaps, do they have to go through to prove that, that they're buying the gun legitimately and for legitimate purposes?
Yeah, could I just buy a gun off you now?
No. Right. You would need to have one of two licenses. So you'd have to have a shotgun license, a shotgun certificate if you wanted to own and use a shotgun, and you would need a firearms license, which is a higher level of security if you want a rifle. The restrictions on rifles are very, very tight. We have the tightest gun laws in the world in many respects, apart from one or two countries where they're totally banned. But in terms of liberal democracies, our gun laws are extremely tight and run by the police to the point where in order to have firearms for legitimate reasons, you need to prove that you're a responsible person and that the police have no reason to keep firearms away from you. With rifles, it's a higher level. You have to prove to the police for each rifle that you want what you're going to use that for, and that you have a legitimate place to use it. And then the ammunition that you have and the number of rounds you're allowed is restricted.
Yeah, do they do mental health checks?
You have to have a letter from your doctor saying that you're not on antidepressant medication. You've got no reason that the doctor feels that you should be on an alert list, if you like, or there's any concerns that he might have about your mental health.
Okay, that's interesting. Can I just ask, how many guns do you personally own, and what do you use them for?
Well, I'm a registered firearms dealer, so I have a lot.
But what do you use them?
I'm a firearms certificate holder, so I hunt deer. I go to Africa and I hunt in Africa sometimes. I also shoot recreational clay pigeon shooting in order to keep my skills up. I shoot pigeons for pest control, and I shoot game for sport. So we shoot pheasants and partridges and rabbits and things like that.
OK, good stuff. And, yes, OK, well, look, thank you very much, Thierry. Great to see you. Last time we spoke, I think you had a tiger's head in the background, and now you've just got a fine work of art. So may I politely say this is a slight improvement in my book, but there we go. Good stuff, mate. Thank you very much. Great to have you back on. All right, take care. So, of course, that was Diggory there. Registered firearms. You know when you walk up to someone in a bar and you go, what do you do? If I said registered firearms dealer, I reckon you'd clean up. Do you not think? It's quite a cool thing, isn't it?
I wouldn't believe you if you said that.
No, well, it'd be terrifying if I was a registered firearms
dealer.
Yeah,
you don't have the look about you, sorry.
No, I don't, no, but there we go. Right, anyway, OK, right, so now thousands of you are party planning ahead of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee this weekend, and celebrations are already in full swing in the north-east of England.
Yes, well, our reporter Rachel Sweeney has been party hopping for us to see what you have planned.
Now, in 2022, we celebrate Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 wonderful years on the throne and making Queen Elizabeth II the longest-serving monarch in history. And what a better way to celebrate than by having a right royal knees up!
Theatres across the northeast are making the most of the Jubilee pageantry, with productions featuring the best of British talent and tradition. Leah Bell produces some of the region's most popular shows. She says a right royal knees up is just the tonic for the great British public.
Definitely. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I think it's great. And me, personally, any opportunity for a party is good for me. I think it's a great way to bring us all back to life after the last couple of years.
Leading man, Irish comedian Jimmy Cricket, has his own memories of the Queen.
You think it's another world when you go back to the 50s when I was a child growing up in Belfast. And we had a shop, and we were Catholics, and it was Protestant neighbours, and they said, could they put bunting? And she even brought us together, over there.
Anita Atkinson is a royal superfan who is known for hosting tea parties in her very own Royal Memorabilia Museum. She says we must turn out for the Jubilee to show respect for 70 years of service.
This morning when she woke up, she was Queen. And tonight when she goes to bed, she's Queen. And she does that for 7 days a week, 365 days of the year, for 70 years. There's no escape. She is the Queen wherever she goes in the world. And, she may have holidays in Balmoral, but she's never, ever off duty. She's so dutiful and steadfast, and Elizabeth the Great, that's what she'll go down in history as.
Congratulations, Your Majesty.
Across the nation, communities are preparing for parties, and some hosts, like Mandy English-Jones, just couldn't wait, so she's already throwing a garden party for her neighbours to honour Queen Elizabeth.
She always appears to be wise and in control. You never see her losing control. She never seems to put a foot wrong. She's had things to deal with as a woman and a mother herself, but she just holds herself with grace.
And what do you hope today will inspire?
Next weekend, street parties right across County Durham and the North East.
Congratulations to Queen Elizabeth.
Our longest reigning monarch, a British moment in history, the Platinum Jubilee. Rachel Sweeney, GB News.
Yes, gosh, well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing, isn't it? You know what, I really hope, right, so I was back up north the weekend, actually, I went to see my mum and dad and grandma, and the amount of bunting, you couldn't move for bunting, right, Union Jacks everywhere, and I thought, you know what, this is great, OK, because normally we're a bit ashamed, I think, in this country of the flag, which is ridiculous, but I really hope that now this injects a little bit of more patriotism.
Yeah, I wish we had flags everywhere. You know, whenever I go to, especially sort of really cute, small, rural villages, they have Union Jacks and Union Jack bunting just for sort of decoration in places. I wish we had a lot more of that, definitely.
No, 100%, 100%. Well, we will, of course, are we allowed to say where we're going? I don't know, but we'll be out and about tomorrow, aren't we?
We will, indeed, and I'll be dressed in something quite special.
All right. Make of that what you will. Also, can I just apologise to Annette, right? Annette, again, this cheeky plug, you can send me stuff. People have been sending me chocolate and things like that. But
don't send me stuff.
Send it to me. Sorry, Annette, I was only joking before when I threw you chocolate on the floor.
Yeah.
It was just a fit of pique because it turns out that what Mercy had been sent was actual money.
Yes.
I'm still not happy about that, but anyway, there we go. Thank you for the chocolate, Annette. Anyway, right, OK, so when we come back, our social affairs editor, Inaya Falarin-Irman, has got an exclusive investigation for us. Stay tuned.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah. We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello, I'm Michelle Jubilee, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Jubilee, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
Hello, I'm Patrick Christie's.
And I'm Mercy Moroki.
Make sure that you join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. until midday, right here on GB News for To The Point.
We're not afraid to talk about the topics that matter to you or the big topics that always matter.
We cover absolutely everything, from the breaking political stories of the day to law and order, what's going on in the channel. We're not afraid to hold people to account.
We always make sure we include your views on our show.
Indeed, if you're thinking it, you can guarantee that we're saying it. So make sure you join the conversation with us, 10 a.m. until midday, Monday to Thursday, for To The Point on GB News.
Yes, morning all, it's 11:24. This is To The Point with me, Patrick Christie's, and Mercy Muroki on GB News, live as ever on your TV, radio and online this morning.
Yes, now footballer Zouma has been ordered to carry out 180 hours of community service and has been banned from keeping cats for 5 years after he admitted kicking and slapping his pet cat.
Our national reporter Paul Hawkins is outside court and joins us now. Bring us up to date, please, Paul.
Yeah, in the last few minutes, Kurt Zouma's just been bundled into a car, surrounded by minders, with a press pack following him and driven away in a silver car. But yeah, as you say, he's been given 180 hours community service, ordered to pay court costs in relation to that video that many of us saw of him kicking and slapping two of his cats, Bengal cats, at his home. That then went viral on social media. So that is the judgment that the court have come to today, the sentence that he's been handed down. We can speak now to Claire Dews from the RSPCA. Claire, just first of all, your reaction to that 180 hours of community service that's been ordered on Court Zouma.
The sentence sent out by the judge today sends out the message that animal abuse is abhorrent, and certainly filming it and uploading it for likes is disgraceful.
And just tell us your reaction when you first saw that video.
I was very upset. I was disgusted by it. Both cats were clearly subjected to some pain, suffering and mental anguish.
Yeah, just expand that a little bit for us, because one expert said that the animal would have suffered significant soft tissue damage, but also the mental trauma from being treated like that.
All animals deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. And if you abuse your animal to the point where it's afraid of you and you quite clearly are making it worried about what's going to happen next, that can be quite concerning for an animal, and that can be clearly seen in this video, that it's repeatedly picked up and hit or kicked.
Kurt Zouma, I should say, could have received 5 years sentencing, but he only got 180 hours community service. Do you think that's about right for the level of the offence?
The sentencing guidelines are there for the judge to make the correct decision. I think sending out community service order in this case is a good thing. It will make Mr Zouma certainly think about what he's done. He and his brother think about what he's done, and will have quite a significant impact on his working life.
Yeah, and also it's drawn some attention to animal cruelty, and there are much worse cases than this. I mean, this case has received a lot of publicity because of who did it, but there are much worse cases out there that don't get this kind of publicity.
That's correct. We, RSPCA, deal with lots of much more serious cases every year, and whilst I'm certainly not demeaning or diminishing the serious nature of this, I think the fact that a professional footballer was involved heightens the interest from the media, but also I think makes it also on a different level. People like Mr Zouma should be setting a real good example to young people out there that want to emulate him, and doing something like this is not acceptable.
Claire, thank you for speaking to us. Really appreciate your time. Claire Dew from the RSPCA there. So, Kurt Zouma, he's already lost sponsorship deals from his club. He was fined £250,000 by the club. And although he continued to play for West Ham, his manager, David Moyes, did understand the criticism that he got, not just from the away fans, but also from the home fans and from groups like the RSPCA, although the club has continued to pick him. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of reception Kurt Zouma gets when the season resumes in August.
Yeah, look, Paul, thank you very, very much for bringing us that. It's a bit of a weird thing, isn't it?
It is, but I think
weird. It's odd.
I think 5 years is because he's banned from owning a cat for 5 years. I don't think that's enough at all.
Well, I just
don't think he should ever be allowed to own animals.
I just don't. Why would you? But the thing is, like, no one forced him to get a cat, right? If you just don't get a cat if you want to.
Yeah, well, I think that speaks to him as a character, surely. Because why would you, for no apparent reason, sort of start abusing a defenceless animal and then film it? It's quite sadistic, isn't it? So I think he should be banned for life. That's my personal opinion.
Oh, there we go.
Anyway, now, would you be comfortable with your primary school children being taught that white privilege is a fact? Do you think that saying that you don't see colour is a microaggression?
Well, GBNews' culture and social affairs editor, Enaya Falariniman, joins us now to discuss an exclusive investigation by GB News which obtained widespread evidence of possible politicised teaching in education to children as young as 3 years old. What's the latest, Enaya?
Well, I think many people remember in late 2020, Qualities Minister Kemi Badenoch making a statement in the House of Commons saying that teaching white privilege as a fact is illegal. And then after that, there were several media reports which continued to reveal that actually possible politicised education was continuing. when we had Nadeem Zahawi, the Education Secretary, in February of this year, actually making a public intervention and issuing guidance around this. But we've done further investigation and spoken to many parents and teachers, and also obtained documents which actually reveal that children as young as 3 years old are potentially still being taught politicised education. So we found evidence of kids in primary school being taught about intersectionality, white privilege concepts that many people in the adult world have no idea what it means. I mean, one of the documents that we obtained, that we have an image of that actually, said that racism was started by white people a very long time ago in order to make life more difficult for non-white people. So we have it on there. It says racism started a long time ago when white people wanted to have more control over other people who are not white. For a lot of primary school, this is for primary school kids, many primary school kids will have no idea what that means.
And just for our radio viewers, we are showing, is this a graphic of a book? Is this a book, literature that's been handed out in
That's been given to kids?
That's an actual poster or a book or something.
And another thing that was said on that particular leaflet said that racism is about power and is deeply embedded within society. Children have no idea what that means, and that leaves it so open to massive interpretation. But it can also make kids feel really insecure, not understanding what that means, thinking that their other classmates may be prejudiced towards them because of what they look like. They may not even know what being black or white means if they're as young as 5 years old. So we spoke to a teacher who was speaking publicly for the first time. He said that he's really worried that this is actually increasing and gaining momentum within education. And unfortunately, it seems like not enough is being done about it.
That's insane. I'd have to kick off about that, because presumably, you know, the implication there is that, you know, all white people are or white people started racism. Can't just say there's racism everywhere, right? There's racism, you know, massive racism actually in the Middle East, in Africa, and places. It's not a white person thing.
Well, exactly. And we spoke to one parent who said that they'd sent an email about other materials that were sent. Oftentimes, they didn't receive one and felt blacklisted and demoralised. There was actually one parent who said that actually when they did send an email questioning one of the materials they received, that they received a reply saying, so you don't believe in equality then?
Oh, God.
And this is actually what a lot of parents are feeling when they actually intervene about these issues, that they are feeling very isolated and there is not a response. And so just relying on these government interventions, one campaigner said to us, it's just not enough. The government really needs to take responsibility for what is going on in education, because this could have really disastrous consequences in the long term for young children.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely absurd, and I would definitely encourage people, don't be, if your kid comes home with one of these materials,
burn it.
Well, not just that, but write an email, you know, put it on social media, get in contact with your MP as well, because, you know, it's absolutely unacceptable, I think.
Yeah, Inanna, cracking report there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Inanna.
Iman there, of course. Right, well, after the break, we'll be talking about gas and electricity prices in rural areas and the cost to rural communities. We'll be joined by a farmer and we'll talk about how the crisis has affected them. But before that, here's a look at this morning's news.
A very good morning. It's 11:33. I'm Rosie Wright, keeping you up to date today on GB News. Now, the Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, has told us that Boris Johnson won't be facing a leadership challenge. The Prime Minister is being criticised by his ethics advisor, who says Boris Johnson's police fine may have breached the ministerial code. Now, that's often something politicians would have resigned over. Mr Johnson says a fixed penalty notice is not a criminal conviction and that he hasn't broken the ministerial code. British Airways has cancelled at least 124 flights at Heathrow, and EasyJet has cancelled over 30 flights from Gatwick today as half-term travel disruption continues. British Airways says passengers were given advance notice. Airlines are blaming delays and cancellations on staff shortages. The Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, is meeting with airline bosses today to try to find out what's gone wrong. Footballer Kurt Zouma has been ordered to carry out 180 hours of community service, and he's been banned from keeping cats for 5 years after he admitted to kicking and slapping his pet cat in a video. He's also been told to pay court costs of nearly £9,000. The 27-year-old West Ham defender pleaded guilty last week at Thames Magistrates Court to 2 counts of animal cruelty. GPs and health centre staff are facing nearly twice the number of violent incidences that they did as compared to 5 years ago. The British Medical Journal says analysis of police data reveals a rise in public order offences such as threatening behaviour from patients. Well, stalking and harassment incidents at GP surgeries have increased almost threefold. A record 2 million people are estimated to be suffering from long COVID. The Office for National Statistics says of those impacted, nearly 3/4 say they're suffering 12 or more weeks after they had or suspected they had the infection. Over 370,000 people are still suffering 2 years after having the virus. TV online and DAB Plus radio, you're now up to date on GB News.
Direct Bullion sponsors the Finance Report on GB News for gold and silver investment.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound is 1.263 to the dollar. The pound is 1.174 to the euro. The price of gold currently stands at £1,453.35 per ounce.
Direct Bullion sponsors the Finance Report on GB News for physical investment.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV, on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices with honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
And the national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, the comedy panel show that's just like the news, in that the left fights the right and it doesn't really seem to matter who wins. We cover the big stories. It was in fact a troop of baboons and not angry vegans.
I like that.
And the really important stories.
Fat naked cow gets stuck in swimming pool.
It's a headline in a lot of local newspapers. Yeah.
We're on the same team, Nick. Yeah, but I'm just helping you.
Join us for Ministry of Offence, Saturday nights, 8 o'clock on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Morning, everybody. It's 11:37. This is To The Point with me, Patrick Christie's, and Mercy Murokey on GB News. We're live on your TV, online and radio this morning.
Yes, now we're going to go to your views before we get stuck into our next stories. Lots of you have been getting in touch about so much we've been talking about today, not least, of course, the Jubilee celebrations. Let's see. Yeah. Let's go for Kenneth. Kenneth says... from the gloomy northeast of England, thank you for making me laugh in your last two segments. It is so refreshing amongst all the doom-mongering. We had a very cheery couple on, a couple of women. And
it was great.
And who was it? Trevor? Was it Trevor?
I think it's called Trevor. It was a town crier. It was absolutely fantastic. Yes, indeed.
A bit of patriotism.
Good. A bit of unashamed patriotism. Should we reveal what we're doing tomorrow or not? Are we allowed? No one answers me when I ask this question. Are we allowed to do what we're doing? Anyway, OK, still deafening silence in there. But
yeah, we also spoke about devolution and why it's always Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland talking about independence and things like that, and it's never England. Sharon says, I think England should leave the UK as we are always the last ones to be considered. I think the Scots hate us regardless.
OK, strong stuff, Sharon. Personally, on this particular issue, Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of national ribbing that takes place. I think that's a great thing. We are for a tiny little country.
Ribbing? What does ribbing mean?
Joking, joshing.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, mickey taking. For a tiny little nation, we're very, very diverse. Now, I don't mean kind of ethnically. I mean, although we are, but I mean like just different, like localisms, right? So look how close Liverpool and Manchester are, for example. Yeah, they're completely different kind of cultures, I suppose, in a way. And I think this is a great thing. And I feel the same way about Scotland and Wales. Just because I don't like Nicola Sturgeon or Mark Drakeford, for example, doesn't mean that I don't like the Scots. Far from it. I think they're great. They're great people, and so I would be absolutely gutted if our union broke up. Personally, I think it's a tremendous thing.
Yeah.
Right, that's that then.
Well, let's get to another view. Nadine says, "Hi, Patrick and Mercy. Just wanted to say thank you for bringing us a programme that tackles the serious subjects that matter, but also lots of fun and unashamed patriotism. You really cheer me up. Have a great Jubilee weekend. God save the Queen." From Nadine there in Staffordshire.
Yes, indeed. Well, let us know what you're doing for the Jubilee celebrations.
Also, I forgot the end of her email. P.S. Zuma should have gone to prison. What an utter git. So that's...
Right.
He is. I agree.
Good stuff. OK, right. Well, now our next GB viewer and listener, Jill, got in touch to say, "I listen every day and hear the arguments about how much gas and electricity prices are going up. I hear about the windfall tax, but I still do not hear you talk about rural communities reliant on oil to heat their homes." Well, here we go, Jill. The price of oil gas has gone up fourfold, not doubled. We have to rely on cars to go anywhere, so the cost of petrol, diesel as well affects us disproportionately.
Yes, well, Jill, we hear you and we agree that rural communities are definitely underrepresented in the media, and we often don't consider the disproportionate cost that you are facing. So let's talk to Duncan Hawley, who's a sheep farmer from Warwickshire, who knows all about the rising costs of operating in a rural area. Thank you for joining us, Duncan. Do you recognise what our viewer and listener said there about the rural areas of the country not receiving enough attention in terms of how much more they're affected by the rising cost of living?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, prices, they were starting to creep up before the Ukraine crisis hit, but they've just been going up tenfold. Diesel, for example, we're paying double what we were paying 12 months ago. That's just for operating our tractors and vehicles. And obviously, as you all know, what pump prices are. It's absolutely crucifying the rural communities.
I mean, how bad is it in rural areas? Because rural areas, I think, get it rough anyway, to be perfectly honest with you. I used to live up in Cumbria, and it's a very rural place. Certainly parts of it are very remote indeed. And, it is a different kind of life, right? And this isn't making it any easier, is it? I mean, how bad is it for people like you?
I mean, it's terrible. We've had costs go. I mean, fertiliser as well has been another input cost that's gone up a hell of a lot. We were paying £270 for fertiliser per tonne last year. That's now gone up to £1,000 a tonne. Fuel. I mean, we live out in the middle of nowhere, so trying to get to a petrol station, obviously. And now we're paying, £1.80 a litre to run our trucks just to get about, and there's no end in sight. And that with the government reducing the help that we've as farmers to produce food is declining. It's really come at a really bad time for us.
Do you feel as though, especially farmers, so not just people living in rural areas, but farmers, are forgotten in this country? For me, when I think of England, right, or the UK, I think of the rolling countryside, and therefore it goes hand in hand with the people who farm that land or farm the animals that are on that land. And yet, all too often, as far as I can see, people like you are just forgotten.
Yeah, it does feel like that. We sort of feel a bit like the Lone Ranger. This government on about that we've got to rewild and that we've got to go planting trees, and that's fine. And we've got, the environment, we've got to look after the environment. But if we start taking masses amount of land out of production, we're going to be heading for a serious crisis, and I think we are looking at a food shortage globally now. So it really is serious at the moment for us.
Now, just a little bit off topic this, OK, but I do a Friday night show. I hate to go on about it. I do a Friday night show, 7 till 9 p.m. every single Friday, Friday Night Feast. Catch it right here on GB News. But I get challenged something every single week, OK? And one of the things that I've been challenged is to go sheep shearing, right? Could you sort that out for me?
Yeah, we're probably shearing next week, so if you want to come down and have a go, you're more than welcome to.
We've timed it perfectly. Right, good stuff. Thank you very much, Duncan. OK, so, look, cheers, and good luck to you, mate. OK, I know times are tough at the minute, but you are kind of the spine of this country, people like you. So, good for you, mate. Keep going. All right, that's Duncan there, of course, who's discussing rural energy costs and, indeed, I suppose the plight of the rural communities, really. Rural communities get massacred all the time.
They do, and you forget about the media forgets about them, don't they?
Well, because it's not sexy, is it? It's not a sexy topic. But when I was in the Lakes, Lake District, and, you know, there's a lot of... I don't begrudge anyone for owning a second home. I mean, I'd literally love to have a second home.
You just love a home.
I'd like to have a house. Right, sorry. Yes, but it does mean though that if everyone's buying second homes, then you know things like your local services, they haven't got anyone because they're there 1 week of the year or 2 weeks of the year. So you know the local primary schools haven't got many kids in them. The post office shuts down. This, that, and the other. And rural communities do have it tough. Anyway, right.
Yeah, but I think rural areas are the best areas. I love every time I go to the countryside or I've lived in the countryside. It's gorgeous.
We're going rural tomorrow, aren't we?
Kind of.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We are. But we're not allowed to say where we're going, apparently.
Well, now, toilet habits. We had a chat about... a change in tone. We had a chat about this yesterday after yesterday's show, and we got... Were you not there in the meeting when we were... Yeah, that might be why. We were discussing whether the men in the office leave the toilet seat down when...
I've apologised. Right, OK.
And it turns out that the ones who do live with... partners, female partners, so they've learnt to kind of...
so it's a good thing. You should leave the seat down, shouldn't you? Isn't that the rule? Anyway, right, OK. Yeah. So, one of our viewers, Heather, is so annoyed that she's written into us to actually vent about this. So why do people leave toilet seats up? Toilets have seats and lids for a reason. Use them. OK. What's the rule, then? You're supposed to leave the seat down?
Yeah.
Right, OK, good. Good, well, I'm doing well.
Wait, do you put... So there's the lid and the seat.
The lid.
So, see, that's the thing. You have to put the lid down as well because the germs... Yes, you do. You do. The
Not in a communal toilet because then you've got to touch it to get it up. And I would argue that's...
Wait, yeah, but you have to... I'm talking about lid down.
Yes. So, you know, so you've got the seat,
yes.
right? So we've got the seat.
Yes.
OK, and then we have lid,
yeah.
right? And when we put the lid down, you have to touch that to get it up. And if you've got a communal toilet...
Yeah,
right,
but that's not my problem. That's the next person's problem.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Anyway, right, OK, well, there we go. OK, so I'm not doing too badly then. I don't put lid down, just leave seat down.
OK, seat down, that's a good start, but put the lid down as well. Do you want bacteria in your toothbrush?
I'm not brushing my teeth with toilet water. Do you do that? No. OK.
You know
right. Anyway. Right. Now, in case you haven't noticed, it's Jubilee week with the 4-day bank holiday. You're welcome, Your Majesty. The 4-day bank holiday of celebrations getting underway tomorrow.
Yes, we do keep it classy on this show.
But
how far would you go to show your dedication to our royal family? Many people have held street parties and things like that, attended royal weddings, but one lady has gone one step further.
Yes, she has. Margaret Tyler has Britain's most I can't say it either, most loyalist royalist, there we go, after turning her home into a shrine for our royal family. Well, our royal reporter Cameron Walker went to meet her.
This is the home of Britain's loyalist royalist. Margaret Tyler claims to have a collection of over 8,000 royal artefacts, and I've come here to meet her in the year of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Hello, Margaret.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Heritage House.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Margaret's one of the country's biggest royal fans. She's met the Queen 4 times.
I think people recognise the jacket even if they don't recognise me.
We start our tour in the Jubilee room.
And where did you start collecting all this memorabilia?
I just enjoyed it. I started off with a little glass dish. It was 2.5p. You can tell how long ago that was.
I can see we've got stuff from the Diamond Jubilee over there.
Yes.
And you must have things from the Silver Jubilee.
Yes.
What's your favourite item in this room, do you think?
Well, I like these very much. I did used to collect dolls, royal dolls.
Margaret has many photographs of our monarch.
What's your favourite kind of iconic image of Her Majesty?
I like that one very much, actually, over there, because that's when she was doing her war duties.
Margaret has items dating back to 1953, but there's much newer items too.
Harry and Meghan bunting from their marriage in 2018.
Yes, yes.
Well, how much has happened in 4 years?
I know, and not really all that pleasant at certain times.
Prince Harry's brother, William, announced his engagements to Catherine Middleton in November 2010. Margaret has an exact replica of the dress Kate wore at the photo call.
I know the model doesn't look like Kate, but you've got to hang it on something, you know. I don't want it rolled up in a ball or anything.
But it's a replica dress.
Yes, it is. And here we have the royal children.
Yeah.
William and Catherine's children.
Margaret spent days outside St Mary's Hospital in Paddington, where William and Kate's children were born. William's mother, Diana, tragically killed in a Paris car crash in 1997, has an entire room dedicated to her.
I was so shocked. I sat on the stairs, I sat there for an hour. I was shaking all over. I couldn't believe it. My legs wouldn't work. I could not believe it.
She even commissioned a ceiling portrait of the late princess.
There's a beautiful portrait of Princess Diana with her two sons,
Yes,
William and Harry.
I love that. I just love that. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? She was a perfect mother, wasn't she? She was there for her boys at every stage, as much as she could.
Did you ever meet Princess Diana?
Yes, I did, yes.
Oh, wow, what was she like?
She came to our local hospital, Northwick Park, and I tried to make a little sort of thing to, you know, put on here. I'm not very good, I'm not very artistic. And she saw me wearing it, and she threw back her head and laughed and said, "Oh, you have got it bad."
Margaret, thank you so much for showing me around your home. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes, yes. I like sharing it with people.
Oh, lovely stuff. You know, this is fantastic. I love this. When we have celebrations like this, people come out of the woodwork, don't they? Like lovely Margaret there. I mean, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and you know, you can just imagine how much that stuff is worth.
I'm worried that we're losing this. All right, Margaret, it may be considered a rather extreme example, of course, but I'm worried that we're losing this. You know, in another 50 years' time, are we going to have people as passionate about this country as Margaret?
Yeah, but also, I mean, God bless him, but, you know, Prince Charles probably doesn't inspire the same enthusiasm as the Queen has over the years. So maybe people won't be as passionate as they are about Prince Charles when he's king as they are about the Queen.
Yeah, I think William does, though. It's a shame, really, because one thing that is, well, by definition, what's going on, obviously, over the next few days is the fact that our Queen has reigned over us for a very long time, of course. Yeah. I mean, we're never going to see this again, probably, because if you just look at the line of succession, obviously, Charles is, you know, knocking on a bit already, and by the time, you know, he pops his clogs, William will be getting on a bit as well. So this is a very, very unique event, but globally unique.
Yeah, but not just unique in British history and British royal history, but she's only a few years away from being the longest reigning monarch in history.
It's something like Louis XIV.
Yeah, so I mean, this is an literal historical event that's taking place, and we should not lose sight of that, actually, and we should go, after the couple of years we've had in this country, I really would urge everybody to go out and just celebrate as much as you can, get involved in as much as you can, go get to know your neighbours, just have a great old time. I
absolutely smashed that, by the way. It is Louis XIV, his longest reigning monarch, but I would say as well, like, look, obviously the Queen is old, right? And we don't know how much longer she has left. Obviously, I hope that she has a lot longer left. But, you know, this is a really good opportunity, really. It's the perfect opportunity for us as a nation, OK, while she's still here, while she's still with us, while she's still present, and they're literally in attendance, right, to just thank her, to just show her how much we love her. And I think that's really important, because all too often that, you know, these outpourings of love happen after somebody's passed away, don't they? You know, at the funeral or whatever, right? Well, this is a real-life opportunity now to say thank you, Your Majesty.
Yeah, I'm unashamedly a royalist.
Absolutely.
I can't even put into words how much I admire her and how much I love her. I saw a picture of her yesterday. I think it was a portrait or something that somebody had up for the Jubilee celebrations, and it actually made me quite emotional, because I just think she is extraordinary.
Good
you know, 70 years
She is
on
Britain.
the throne.
She is Britain.
She is. She is the embodiment of everything we are. And I know there are people who, aren't royalists and who think it's all unfair and it's all elitist.
Losers.
But I really don't think you can capture in words just certainly not in numbers, even though it's 70 years, how incredible of a life she has led and how much she means to so many people in this country.
Do you want to know something really sad?
What?
I was in M&S yesterday.
Yeah.
And I thought about the Queen not being with us anymore, and I started crying. How sad is that?
What, in M&S on your own?
Gloria De Piero's here. She looks at me like I'm mental. And you know what? I can't believe I've said that out loud.
You're getting a bit teary now.
I'm getting teary, but it's just dusty. It's dusty in here. It's dusty in here.
To
Anyway.
finish on a high note.
No, sorry, quickly. Do you know who the second longest reigning monarch in the world in history? History.
Yeah. Do you?
Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand. So there we go. So we are currently third.
Sounds Nigerian to me.
Yeah,
anyway.
I thought that was what. Anyway, right, there we go.
Yes, well, let's end it there, shall we? Today's show has been led by you, and just a reminder, we do that every Wednesday, so start getting your suggestions in for next Wednesday. That is it from us. Tomorrow will be somewhere quite special. We're bringing you a Jubilee special. Up next is Gloria De Piero.
Hello, I'm Alex Deakin with your latest weather update. The weather's slowly settling down as we head towards the long weekend. Still some showers around today, mainly across northern and eastern parts of England, but high pressure is trying to move in. There are a couple of weather fronts that will provide some showers during the long weekends, but certainly for most in the west, it's dry and bright out there this afternoon. The cloud breaking up across Wales, some sunny spells for Northern Ireland, any showers over southwest England fading, and nowhere near as many showers across Scotland. But across Northern England and Eastern England, we are still likely to see some heavy showers in places this afternoon, but they'll be hit and miss, by no means everywhere catching a downpour. And in the sunny spells in the south, temperatures back over 20 degrees Celsius. Still on the cool side across northeast England and northeast Scotland. Still a few scattered showers around through the first part of the evening, but pretty quickly they die away. So from 8-9 o'clock, it's dry almost everywhere. Clear skies, light winds. Going to be a chilly one, actually. Temperatures well down into single figures. A pretty fresh start considering we're in June on Thursday. But for the bank holiday, it is by and large going to be a cracking day. Some very early mist and fog that will clear away. Main exception will be Northern Ireland, where it will cloud over with some showery rain trickling in here. Maybe 1 or 2 showers in parts of western Scotland and northern England too. But for most places, it's looking dry and bright tomorrow with lengthy spells of sunshine and a warmer day as well. Temperatures back in the high teens across the north and low 20s across the south. We will see a bit more of that rain spreading into Northern Ireland during Thursday evening, maybe a few more showers drifting north across the Grampians and the Highlands of Scotland. But for most places, it stays dry as we head into Friday. Some showers in the west on Friday, increasing chance through Saturday and Sunday of seeing showers in the south, but still a lot of dry weather to be had during the Jubilee.
Join us for a special GB News event.
The celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
From pageantry here at the Palace
to the parties in your street.
We'll bring you 4 days of
unforgettable moments.
This bank holiday weekend.
Join us live up and down the country as we share your memories
of Her Majesty's extraordinary reign.
Send us your stories, photographs and videos
at Jubilee at gbnews.uk.
Come and celebrate with us
on GB News, the People's Channel.
We are GB News.
We're right across this great nation.
On TV,
on radio, on digital.
Absolutely everywhere.
We don't talk down to you.
We embrace all voices.
with honest and civilised conversation.
We're not part of the establishment.
We're one of you.
And we're only getting started.
Join us on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious